And we're just gonna let that come to a boil. A rapid boil. Okay, we're gonna let that come to a rapid boil. Okay, Betty, we'll do that. What's an easy and filling meal with just a touch of sweetness? Betty Crocker's answer? Cherry pineapple bologna. I'm Melinda and I'm cooking my way through Betty Crocker's 1971 recipe card library. Today we are making cherry pineapple bologna, which is from section S, Hurry Up Main Dishes, card number 21. The card looks kind of unassuming, you know, it looks pretty standard, pretty straightforward. The cherry pineapple on bologna is really intriguing to me. I think it might make sense. You have bologna, which I think is made with pork, I'm not sure. And I've seen pictures before of like a nice, like, you know, Christmas ham decorated with pineapples and cherries. So it kind of makes sense. And you have, you know, pineapple and ham on pizza, Hawaiian style pizza. So I think that kind of flavor combination isn't that out of this world. So yeah, I think it's gonna be like pretty simple, pretty easy, very filling, kind of cozy meal. I think it's gonna be pretty good. So let's give it a try. All right, I can't deceive you any longer. This title of the episode might have been clickbait. I couldn't find ring bologna, okay? I tried, I looked at the grocery stores. They don't sell it in Brooklyn. I looked it up. Ring bologna is still sold from some brands. Hillshire Farm no longer makes it, which is like the main brand that sells like meat products. And so I couldn't find it. It's Pennsylvania Dutch in origin, and so I'm sure if you live in Pennsylvania, you might be able to find it. More kind of like localized niche products are still often sold kind of where they're still used a lot, but in Brooklyn, no one's buying that. And so I tried. What we're gonna use instead is kielbasa, which I come from a Polish background and we eat kielbasa at every holiday meal. It is so good. And I think it's gonna be good with this pineapple cherry glaze. So I'm not too worried that I'm swapping out the ring bologna with kielbasa. It's the same shape, hello. It still is gonna be a ring of meat. And I think it'll like function the same. It will have a different flavor, I'm sure, from bologna, but I think it's gonna taste good and that's what matters. So don't come for me in the comments. I might have clickbaited you by saying I was making bologna today and I'm not. But it's what I could do. I swear. Sometimes for this channel, I will go to 5 different grocery stores looking for an ingredient, and it's so much work to hunt down these ingredients that were popular in, you know, the 50s and 60s, and it doesn't always work. It doesn't always happen. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But in other news, I did find Betty Crocker brand instant potatoes. So we are staying on brand when it comes to the potato part of this meal. And yeah, that's all I have to say. That's my disclaimer. I'm sorry, don't hate me. And let's go over to the stove and make some pineapple cherry glaze. All right, so we're here at the stove to make the cherry pineapple glaze. And first step, heat pineapple, cherries, corn syrup, vinegar, cloves, and food color to boiling, stirring occasionally. So, all right, so we're starting with a 1/2 cup of crushed pineapple and a 1/4 cup of coarsely chopped maraschino cherries. And then what else are we adding? Corn syrup, 1/4 cup of corn syrup. This is gonna be very sugary and sweet. Then we have 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. And then we have a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And then we're gonna add a couple drops of red food coloring. I don't know why, the cherries are already red. I'm not really smelling anything. The vinegar is interesting. Corn syrup and vinegar. I don't know about that. Okay, so we're gonna let that come to a boil, stirring occasionally, and then once it comes to a boil, we're gonna reduce the heat and simmer for 15 minutes. So we're just gonna kind of let this cook. All right, while we have the cherry pineapple glaze simmering on the back burner here for 15 minutes, let's make our instant mashed potatoes. So in that pot, we are going to add a 1.5 cups of water and 3 tablespoons of butter. And we're just gonna let that come to a boil. I believe. A rapid boil. Okay, we're gonna let that come to a rapid boil. Okay, Betty, we'll do that. Okay, our butter and water has come to a rapid boil, so we're gonna turn it off the heat and we're gonna add our potatoes and a 1/2 cup of milk. Stir until well blended. Instant mashed potatoes never fail to amaze me. They become mashed potatoes instantly. How does this happen? I talked about it on a former episode on this channel, so I know how it happened, but it's still crazy to me. Cover, let stand 2 minutes to complete cooking. Okay, we'll let that stand 2 minutes. All right, meanwhile, our cherry pineapple glaze has been simmering for 15 minutes. The pineapple really has taken on the red color of the cherries and the food dye, so that looks really nice and like consistent in color. I'm really smelling the clove, which is exciting. I didn't really think that would bring much to the table, but it has this kind of like warm, Christmassy aroma to it, which is really fun. All right, so the next step is to take some cornstarch and blend some water into it. I've done this before, and it was weird. Created an oobleck, kind of half solid, half liquid. This is leaning towards liquid though, which is what we want. Okay, we're gonna stir this into the fruit. And this will help thicken it and make it a nice glaze consistency. Cornstarch is stirred in. It's kind of lightened it up a little bit. We're supposed to bring it back up to a boil for 1 minute and it will really start to thicken. And it is. She is thick. Yeah, it no longer feels like a liquid, a glaze. It feels like preserves or something. I've made a pineapple cherry jam. I think that's right though, because when you see what we're about to do with this kielbasa and this glaze, it's gonna make sense why it's so thick. Okay, I think it's been boiling for about a minute, so I'm gonna take it off the heat and then we're gonna go back to the table and assemble our cherry pineapple meat ring. We're calling it a meat ring now, okay? All right, so I'm here with my kielbasa and I'm just gonna take it out of the package and we're gonna place it in a pie pan in a nice ring shape. Oh, I broke it. I broke it. Okay, pretend you didn't see that. Everything's fine. Cut ring diagonally at 2-inch intervals, being careful not to cut completely through. I did cut completely through once. That was a mistake. Don't look at that. So, 2-inch diagonals. Don't cut all the way through. Now when you go around the curve, that's where things get wild. So now I've cut these little segments out of it, and Betty says to take a spoonful of our glaze and put it in each of the segments. Now, I don't know how that's possible. I guess like that. It's just gonna close and like floop out the seam anyway. But I guess it's just like in service of trying to get the meat to absorb some of the glaze on its interior. That's the goal. Earlier this summer, I did these chili dogs where I had to cut lines in a hot dog, fill it with cheese. And now I'm having like flashbacks to that experience. Betty loves to slice and insert things into meat. This is looking great. Pay no attention to the broken part. He's fine. The cherry glaze will seal it back together. Now that all of our crevices have been maybe filled with glaze, I can't even say that they have. All right, so now I'm gonna take the rest of the glaze and just spoon it on top. As you can see, it's already kind of on top, so I'm just gonna go fill in the areas in between just to really get it packed on there. I assume when it goes in the oven, it's gonna like kind of melt again and like continue to cook and like maybe even get a little like brown. So I think just like heaping the glaze on and then seeing what happens in the oven is our move. That looks kind of nasty. All right, next step, we're gonna spoon our mashed potatoes into the center of the ring. Gorgeous mashed potatoes. I really wanna make sure that it pushes the ring out towards the edge of the pan a bit. It's like the structural integrity depends on the mashed potatoes. I have to say, this and this, identical twins. Identical twins. Let's get this in the oven for about 20 minutes until the potatoes are light brown. The maraschino cherry is quite a nostalgic fruit, a classic on ice cream sundaes, Manhattan cocktails, and pineapple upside down cakes. But how did this bright red creation come to America? And is it even really a cherry? Maraschino cherries are actually based on the mascara cherry, a sour, dark variety originally grown in Croatia. Preserves made from mascara cherries have been popular in Europe for thousands of years, but it was Giacomo Luxardo who perfected the first version that was sold widely as a brand in 1905. These preserved cherries jarred in a maraschino liqueur became a luxury import to America around the turn of the 20th century. But soon after Americans got a taste for the Luxardo cherry, the same thing happened that always does with luxury products. Imitations popped up. Growers here in America tried preserving our local cherry fruit called the Royal Anne in order to replicate the Luxardo brand. The fruit was smoked in sulfur, packed in a noxious chemical brine, and flavored with almond extract to recreate the signature Marascara taste, and dyed a deep red with aniline, which was a toxic colorant made with coal tar byproducts. Once information about how these imitation cherries were made started to leak, outraged articles appeared claiming that these brands violated the Pure Food Law. In 1912, the Food and Drug Administration issued an official statement on the difference between a real maraschino cherry and an imitation, hoping to deter further impersonators. Another issue with the Royal Anne cherries was that they got wrinkled in the preservation process. So eventually, a man in Oregon named Ernest Wigand figured out how to best preserve the shape and structure of the cherry without alcohol or liqueur. He discovered that adding calcium salts to the preserving brine firmed up the fruit nicely. However, this new brining process bleached the cherries of their natural color, hence adding this eye-catching bright red dye. With a few modifications, this is still the method that's used to make maraschino cherries today. All right, our cherry pineapple bologna ring is out of the oven. It's time to give it a taste. I'm so excited. It smells so good. It smells like kielbasa, so can't be mad at that. I guess I'm gonna try to cut off one of the end pieces at one of the intersections. Ooh, sliced right through. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. Let me get some of this extra glaze on there. Great. We have to have some mashed potatoes too, of course. See how that tastes with our glaze. Okay. Take a bite. Oh, hot, 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 hot. Oh, it's delicious. I love kielbasa. Yeah, the glaze is just like, that bite of glaze was a lot. Okay. The glaze is like very clove and sugar forward. There's a little bit of tartness from the pineapple. I'm getting that like artificial cherry flavor from the maraschino cherries. It's kind of nice against the like creamy mashed potato. Never thought I would eat a maraschino cherry and a mashed potato in the same bite, but I just did, and it wasn't weird. It was fine. It really, that clove is really powerful, and I think we needed him. He's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here to kind of bridge the gap between sweet and savory. Otherwise, like the kielbasa is so flavorful that like when paired with this cherry pineapple glaze, it just like kind of enhances the flavor. It's just like a little sweeter version of kielbasa than I'm used to, but it's not an odd pairing. We love cherry pineapple glaze on a meat ring. I am curious how it would taste with bologna. If you have bologna ring in your local grocery store, you should definitely give this a try and let me know how it tastes. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, cherry pineapple bologna. I love this card. Did I make bologna? No. But the idea, the sentiment, the cherry pineapple glaze on a encased meat of a sausage variety really worked well. I thought, you know, it really enhanced the natural flavor of the meat. It paired perfectly with it. The pineapple was like added the right amount of tartness, and the cherries the right amount of sweetness. The mashed potato was a really good like kind of partner to the meat. Just a really hearty, filling meal that like tasted really good and was like the perfect balance of sweet and savory. So I'm gonna give it, do I dare give it 5 out of 5 red spoons? Even though I didn't make it with bologna. I'll give it 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 red spoons. Okay, back in the box. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, we've cooked up things with instant mashed potatoes before, so check out potato donuts next. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and until next time, happy homemaking.